Have you been thinking about investing in real estate?
It's not like what you see on HGTV.
We created a course to show you how to really invest and create a profitable flipping and wholesaling business.
We give you marketing strategies like how to pull lists, who we target, and where we find the money.
We go over sales, which includes live calls and negotiations, scripts, role-playing, and so much more.
Everything that you need to know to flip houses is in this course. And if there's anything that we missed, we will create a video to answer your specific question.
This knowledge has made us over $1 million, and we're selling it today for just $997. Click the link below.
All right, guys, welcome to the Tony and Dakota podcast. We got a special guest here. We got Mr. Gary V, and that's not Gary Vaynerchuk, a different Gary V. What up, bro?
What's happening, guys? How are we?
Good, man. Tony's going to introduce you and talk about all of the good things about you.
All right, I got two things here. No, I'm just kidding. Gary is the CEO at United Home Buyers. He was a real estate agent before when he lived in Connecticut, and then he got into real estate investing. He joined the Future Flipper Mastermind, and that's how we met him. Since then, he's done a poop ton of flips. He's been flipping houses left and right. Gary is a husband, and he's in dang good shape. This dude's 41 years old, and he was outworking me where we were in the CrossFit gym in Las Vegas. Maybe that just shows how out of shape I am. But Gary does some CrossFit in his spare time, and he gives it to you straight, man. He's a rascal. He likes to let you know what some bull crap is sometimes. And so he's got that East Coast vibe to him a little bit. Gary Voorhees? Voorhees?
Voorhees.
Nice, man. Thanks for coming on. Appreciate you, bro.
Yeah, man. You guys are killing it.
Thanks, man. You too. Are you from New York? I can't remember.
I am. I'm from Westchester, right out of New York City.
Nice.
Well, we kind of had to deal with the no nonsense.
Yep. Dude, we met a guy. I can't remember where he's from. Where does he say he's from? That guy that called yesterday.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's from Queens.
Yeah.
He's like the Italian stereotype a little bit. So he called Dakota to let him know. They're like, hey, just so you know, I'm gonna call the city on you guys because you got these bricks out front of your little spot over here, your storage spot. I think it's unnecessary. I think it should be cleaned up. So I'm gonna let the city know. And then Dakota was quiet for a little bit. He's like, nah, man, I'm just messing with you. You know how it is.
Yeah, it was funny though, dude.
He's from Astoria. He's from Astoria or Whitestone. That's it.
Yeah, I say your guys' accent kind of reminds me of each other. That's why I was like, dude, you got to be from New York. I remember that too. You started off as a real estate agent. Is that how you got into real estate, or did you start off flipping? Or tell us like kind of your backstory and how you got into real estate.
Yeah, so I was selling cars, and I hated my life, and I hated the schedule, and you know what it is. You did it, so I was like, I got to get out of this. And we started flipping cars on Craigslist. And just enough to save up for like a year. I was like, I need a year's worth of money to make sure that we're covered.
Yep.
And we got that money, and we got into real estate, and it was like no turning back. I was never going back to the car dealership or working for anybody again. And
so
we just never ever looked back from there.
Where did it pop in that you were going to be a real estate agent? Because I saw that you had your license in Connecticut.
Yeah. So I had my license in New York, Connecticut, and Ohio. I recently got rid of the Connecticut license just because I wasn't doing that many transactions there, and it was a lot to keep up with the continuing education. There was 3 continuing educations every 2 years, and the money and the MLS and everything like that. It wasn't worth it. It's easier for me to refer something off and, than deal with all that. Probably be getting rid of one of these other licenses here soon too, just because the transition out of that too. It was a good stepping stone, but this is where my heart's at, and this is what I love to do.
Awesome.
But the real estate, getting into real estate, that was fun. Good stepping stone. I would love to help other people with it. It was, it's a great lifestyle. if you set it up the way it could be.
So you were in car sales for how long? And then what did that transition actually look like? Were you doing both for a while, or did you just like go and you're like, you know what, screw this, I'm out, and then decide to go and be a real estate agent?
No, I was never doing both at the same time. What I was doing was selling my own cars off Craigslist, and that became a full-time job.
Wow.
Like literally, I had my own dealer plate, everything. No one knew I had my own dealer plate, but they knew like I was making a lot of money. There was a lot of chatter in the sales room. I would take my lunch break and go and sell cars at my lot right up the street. I got a lot purposely up the street, so that way I'd be able to sneak off at lunch, go sell my cars, and then come back.
I bet they did not like that.
No, they didn't like that at all. But you know what? You got to do what you got to do. Like there was a day that I was sitting out there in the showroom and I was like, you know, those slow days. And it's like, man, what am I doing here? And I looked out the window and there was like this little Isuzu trooper sitting out there with a for sale sign on it. And I called the number and the guy's like, I want $500 for it. I was like, dude, turn around right now. Come back to my dealership. He turns, we're in the back parking lot. I made him take his plate off the car. He's like, really? I'm like, dude, find your ride home. You have the title. He's like, I got the title. I bought it right then and there. And I sold it before we even left the dealership at 8 o'clock at night.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I got my books from all the deals. I think that was like a $1,200 profit right there, just sitting at work. It was like,
All right, so let's talk about something interesting here. Cause what you just said is very interesting. That turnaround time, that seems a little impossible. How'd you get the title switched over to your own name in a couple hours?
so in New York, you don't have to do notaries or anything. And I found out in Ohio. In Ohio, you have notaries. You have to sign off in front of a notary.
Yep.
In New York, there's so much games being played because you don't have to sign off on anything. Like it's just like, here's the title. You don't even have to put in your own name. So that's the beauty of it. So
Wow,
they
that's
sign the
crazy.
back of the title and they sign the bill of sale. And then you act as like, it's almost like a wholesale real estate deal because you never put your name on it. You just collect your money and sell it.
You know what that's called in Indiana?
Probably something bad.
Title hopping. That's
Okay.
illegal. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
So you can do the same thing in Indiana. And I'm not going to say, you know, if anybody's done it or not, like, you know, I'm sure most people have done it, but yeah, if you sign the title and then you just pass it and you never put it in your own name, you're just taking it from that person's name and then giving it to the next person. That's called title hopping. And it's technically illegal, but you know, like I said, most people usually do things that way because otherwise you got to go register it. You got to pay the taxes on it. Then now it's in your name. You got to wait a couple weeks for the title to come and then you go and sell it. It's like, yeah, dude, that sucks. But that's crazy, dude, that you did that at the dealership too. Because I did. Yeah, if we did that, if I did that
at the dealership. All of it. I was taking Ubers. As soon as I got out of work, I didn't even go to my car. I had the Uber waiting outside, straight to where I was going to pick up the next car.
Oh my gosh. That's hilarious because I'd be fired for sure. Did you ever like get talked to by the management or anything like that? Or did they ever say anything to you?
So when I was leaving, like I felt like when I told him I was gone, like when I had the conversation with the owner, he's like, yeah, I know what you've been doing. He's like, I don't really appreciate it. And I'm like, whatever, dude. Like, you know, you gotta hustle.
I had some issues even when I was like selling houses and doing house stuff and doing cars, and like they didn't even like that. And it's like, dude, like it's not even the same business because like, you know, with what you're doing, it's like, okay, I get it. Because like, you know, there might be a conflict of interest if, you know, you got a person who's wanting to buy a car off the lot and then you move them to something that you got. I can understand why they might be a little upset, but I'm like, man, like it just seems like, you know, the mindset is definitely different in the car business where they're like, no, you're here to sell cars for me and that's it. And if you're not here for that, then you're fired.
That's a $250 salary a month. You know, that's just to lock you in. Like we own you. We're paying you $250 a month.
Yep. So what did that transition look like? Like, I know you talked about it a little bit, you know, you're like, okay, I went into real estate and stuff, but what did that actually look like? And what was the thing that motivated you? Was the managers come up and talk to you and say, hey, look, we don't want you doing this. You're like, okay, cool, I'm out. Or like, were you just like, you know what, real estate's my passion. I decided that I'm just going to stop doing this. Or what was actually the thing that made you decide that real estate was the direction you're going to go?
You know, the direction of real estate was always there. It was just procrastination, laziness. That was it. Straight up, you know, real estate, I wanted to get in real estate, but nothing ever happened. It just happened. I was like, you know, doing this. Like no more excuses needed. And that transaction, like I walked up to them and went in the office. I was like, listen, I was it. I was the happiest person in the world. I did that like jump, skip, hop down the road.
So how was the transition from like car sales to real estate? How did that go?
Yeah, so transition from car sales to real estate, just going in there, excited, you finally get to the point where you got the money saved up and, and now you're about to hit your goals. And it's also on the other end of it, you don't know what to expect. Am I going to fail at real estate or am I going to be able to do this, etc. You get to hear everybody's stories too. Oh, I was a real estate agent. It's really hard. Da, 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 da. You walk into the office, into my old boss's office, and I'm like, hey, I got my real estate license and I'm going to be leaving. I mean, that was just an amazing feeling, like to just know, like, potentially this could be it. Like, I'm out of here though. I know that like, I'm not working until 8 o'clock at night for somebody else's watch. For myself, whatever it is, what it is.
Yep.
But
and how long were you in car sales before you decided that?
Car sales I was in car sales for 12 years.
12? Holy smokes.
12 years, man. So it was tough. And like after all those years, just watching the people and just seeing them and knowing that they're in that dealership until 8 o'clock, almost every night of the week. They're on the weekends, they're there until 6. And just knowing that they probably missed a lot of their kids' events and everything, because you just can't be in 2 places at once.
Yep. And then if you get a customer, I mean, I've been there till 11, 12 o'clock before. And like, people don't think that like, oh, you're not going to be there. No, you're there till freaking midnight sometimes, depending on, how many cars they're buying, when they started the process. Cause we closed at 8. So if they showed up at, 7:50, guess what? Like, we work on commission. You got to sell a car. So like, dude, that's what people don't see a lot of times. They think all of these car salesmen are all these bad people. And then they don't realize like, no, these are hardworking people who work on, commission. Were you 100% commission or did you have some sort of base salary?
250. I was like,
Yep.
Whatever, keep it. I don't want to hear that you own me. Let me just come up and show up my hours, get my car sales done. You can keep your salary.
Yep. Was it a draw or was it actually a salary?
It's $250 a month, I think, or something like that. It was like $75 a week. It was ridiculous.
Holy
I said many times to him, like, you can keep it. Because I bust my balls about coming back from like lunch like 5 minutes late. And I'm like, dude, like, I'm not in commission here. Like, I earn off commission.
Yep. So was it not that difficult of a transition for you then to go to real estate because you're already going from commission to commission? So it really has to do with what you produce, or did you still feel like some fear there? Like, oh man, this is a little scary.
I think the excitement overtook the fear. There was definitely some fear there. Like, obviously you're switching, you don't know, you got bills coming in, but you have the right amount of money saved. I had like a year and a half saved up in bills in case things went terribly wrong.
Mm-hmm.
That way I didn't have to put pressure on myself either. The last thing I want to do is get into something instead of learning it, be like, oh my God, I gotta be for the transaction, so that helped. The transition going into it though, that was great. I mean, I got onto a team. I used the team just so I could understand like, okay, what do I got to do and speed myself up of like how everything works. So I did about 6 months of that and I learned a good amount and I was a cold calling beast. I mean, I had like 19 listings like in 6 months and these guys were like, look at this guy, he's killing it. And I'm like, this is awesome. I'm like, this is easy, and that didn't live that long because the market started changing and the expired started disappearing. Like, I mean, it was like, I got in there right at the right time.
What year was this or when was this?
This was in 2000. So I became full-time agent in August of 2017.
Okay.
Literally I want to say by June of 2018, like the expired completely dried up. Like I was looking for a different way of making money, like different way of getting clients.
So that's how you started, was by calling expired listings and just seeing if they wanted to relist with you?
Yep. And
Wow.
I had no idea what I was doing. Like, and they probably sensed it. And that's probably why they listed with me. There were so many properties that I took that were like overpriced. And like, we just went like, I didn't know they were overpriced. I was like, oh, this is great. The numbers work perfectly. And they're like, we'll sign right here.
Did they end up selling, or did you actually end up producing anything from those leads, or were they just like listings and then they didn't do much?
Most of them did. I was really on point with my communication, and I think that helped me out a lot. And the people, you know, they trusted me, and they were like, okay, let's do a price reduction, and like, let's get this done. You know, we see you busting your ass, like, let's get it done.
Wow.
So it worked in my favor. I mean, it could have went terribly wrong, but I think that was because I knew nothing and I didn't act like I knew everything. I was just like, hey, you know, I'll give this my best shot.
Yep.
So what did your first real flip look like?
My own?
Yeah, yeah. When you
Like,
did
as
it
a business,
on your own. Yep.
as a business, it was a disaster. My house hack, the one with my boss, like all that stuff was better. My first one as a business, it was a disaster. It wasn't a disaster because of design. It wasn't a disaster because of supplies or anything like that. It was a disaster because I moved from New York to Ohio. I knew nobody and I didn't know it as a business. Living in a house or doing it with somebody that's already done it in an area where you know, it's great. But when you're not in an area where you don't know anybody and you're just moving here, like, it was a disaster area. No one wanted to work there because it was in the hood, which I was told was in a great area, but it was in the hood, like hood. Like, no contractor wanted to work there because of the hood. And everything that could have gone wrong went wrong. We had to go to court we were getting sued by the first contractor that we fired that almost set our house on fire.
Jeez.
Like, yeah, it was bad. But
So why did you transition from you know, you're doing real estate in New York and then you decided to flip in Ohio? Like, why did you decide to make that like transition? What was the thinking there?
yeah, two reasons, right? One of the reasons is, you know, I like my family and I like being with my family. So if I was to continue to do New York, I would have had to keep traveling back and forth, you know, on a large scale to make a good income. And I did that for the first couple of months and I was like, all right, this is getting crazy here. You know, the mileage on the car, just driving, being in the car for a day just to get there. And then same thing on the way back. So you lose 2 days of the week there. And then I had intentions of being this big agent out in Ohio. And I started redoing it. I'm like, this is going to take 3 years to get this going. I said, by the time big tech gets set in, who knows what big tech does with the real estate retail world, you know? So I have that always in the back of my mind. And then I said, you know, 3 years is a long time to like, and that was, I lived there my whole life. I knew the area. 3 years is going to be a long time to get to know people. It could even take 5 years at that point.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, you know, we've always wanted to flip. We got the money, you know, why not? You know, we've already done one. I mean, on our house hack, we made 75,000. So I was like, all right, you know, why don't we just buy some homes and sell them? Like, I didn't think I would be on a scale of like doing this a lot. I thought, you know, we'll buy a couple a year. It'll be a couple $100,000. Cool. All done. Then I got introduced with you guys and like, I was like, well, that's going to change. Like, one or two or a couple a year, like that, we could be doing that a month. Like, we could be hitting 6 figures in a month.
Yep.
Why did you stick with it after the first flip failed?
Even though the first flip was a disaster, we still made money. And at the end of the day, I loved that we took this house that was like terrible, you know, and we took this house and we made it a beautiful house. Someone's going to be living there, family. And we still made a little bit of money. And, you know, Tony, before even that, I bought another house before I even found out this house was going to be a disaster. So I was already in, you know, and then the next house we bought was like a slam dunk. No matter what happened, it was going to be a slam dunk. So, I mean, yeah.
So you ended up in the Future Flipper Mastermind because you wanted to grow. You didn't know what you didn't know. And, do you think, would you advise that other people do that paid education? Because I know there's a lot of people who would rather kind of skim the internet, get the free stuff, grow when it's convenient for them, that sort of thing. You know, not really have a whole lot of accountability or people pushing you to do things that you may not want to do or may not even know that you want. Do you think that the mastermind was worth it? Like, what did you get out of it? Yeah,
man, that's a really good question. And, the mastermind, if you're not in some kind of mastermind or some kind of mentorship, you're really losing out. You could be so smart, but like that just it accelerates everything so quickly. You know, to be able to reach out to top investors in the country and just be able to get your answers, because there's a lot. I mean, you could read all you want online, but they're just giving you little tips and bits to like get you into some kind of course or something. They're not going to give you all the beans. And even if you're in some of these masterminds, you're not going to get everything, you know? But the content that you get out of this is like the money that you pay for the content that you're getting is so tiny compared to the value that you get out of it. And if you use it correctly and you do the masterminding and stuff like that, I mean, it just opens up all different kind of avenues.
Are you letting deals fall through the cracks because you don't have good systems in place?
We've been there before, and we've tried several different CRMs, and RE Simply has been the best.
RE Simply tracks your KPIs, does automatic follow-ups for you, and even records your incoming phone calls.
The system is simple to use and has more features than we even know what to do with.
If you're looking for a great CRM, try RE Simply today. We put the link in the description. Check it out now.
So what's your operation look like now? What does your business look like? How many deals you have out right now? Are you broke like us? We got a lot of money that we
You
need
guys aren't
coming
broke.
back.
You guys are rich.
Oh man, we got a lot of money out right now. You know, we got some appraisals coming back. We got to close on some properties, get some money back in the business so we can keep doing what we're doing, keep grinding. But what does your business look like today? How are you different from your competition? You know, what do you focus on? And are you doing just flips, just wholesales? You know, how many are you keeping as rental properties? What's your business look like?
Yeah, so our business right now, you know, we got a nice little team set up. We restructured everything. I think I spoke to you guys last time. We were in the process of like really breaking it down, and we stripped everything down. It's just me and one other guy, and we're rebuilding it a little bit different this time. As far as our business goes, I'm actually in a different position than you guys. I got money sitting in the bank, which is driving me nuts because it's not out there making me money. We just cashed out on all of our flips pretty much, except for we have 2 in the makings right now. And as far as wholesales go, we flip and we wholesale. When you get into rentals at the end of the year, but for right now, we're flipping, wholesale, and we're just trying to gain some capital. What sets us apart, we do a little bit different. Like everybody here is really focused on these $100,000 homes. We're trying to focus on like a $300,000 home, which is a little bit higher end here for where the price points are. Mm-hmm. Just feel like it's a better house. A little bit more. We could put a little bit more, like coming from New York, you see a lot of these trendy designs. We could put a lot more of that into it. You can't really do much with a $100,000 house as far as money goes, to make money. And we want to make money, obviously, at the end of the day too. And then we're wholesaling. We got 2 that are going to close at the beginning of next week. We just locked up 11 properties, which is 12 doors that we're going to be getting rid of as a package. And then another thing that sets us apart is, you know, I'm also an agent. So if the deal doesn't make sense, take it down as a flip. If it doesn't make sense, take it down as a wholesale, then we're going to put it on the market. It's okay. It's good. Eventually I'd like to just be able to refer that off and not get involved in that at all.
How often do you see that people actually want to list their properties whenever they reach out? Does that happen to you very often or not really?
No, not at all. It's like when you tell them I could list your property, it's like they get mad for some reason. Yeah. Like you called me for a cash offer, and I'm like, listen, this doesn't work. You know, your property doesn't need my cash offer. If I'm giving you a cash offer, it's going to be below market value. Like I'm telling you, being honest with you, I could probably get you more money, even including my realtor fee.
Yep.
It just doesn't work though.
They still don't want to. Yeah, that's the funny thing is like, that's what I always explain to realtors. And because Tony and I both have our license as well, and they don't believe us. They're like, no, that doesn't happen. I'm like, no, dude, like seriously, we tell these people, hey, we can list it. We can get you $20,000, $30,000 more even after everything. They're like, nope, don't want to do that. Dude, if they wanted to talk to a realtor and list their property, they would have called a realtor, not an investor. So like, that's what we've noticed too, is like, you know, we've probably listed 2 properties out of like 100.
4.5 years.
Yeah. So
I recently brought it up to a lady. She loved the idea. I mean, she was like, "Oh yeah, that's brilliant. We're coming up from Florida." And then I didn't hear from her for a couple of days. And then I called her and she kind of ghosted me. I called her back the next day. And she's like, "Oh yeah, after you said that, it brought an idea to us and we called our realtor." And I said, "Thanks. Glad I gave you the idea." And she's like, "Well, and I'm like, listen, well, at any point, you should be getting 3 opinions anyway, to see what your house is really worth." And she let us in the door and we knocked it out. Like, our presentation's solid. So we, and she was like, "We love what you have to say." And she wasn't going to give her realtor an opportunity.
Wow.
She was like, "Send the papers." So we sent the papers and we get a text in the morning, this long text. "I couldn't sleep last night. I really need to get my realtor in here." And I'm like, "Oh God." So we get a text back in like 2 hours. We signed with the other realtor. So there was 2 things that we were trying to push to her. Like, we're trying to tell her, like, we think your house is like a $325,000 house, but you should list it at 300 and let the market push it there, because you might even get higher.
Yeah.
And we were at 4% commission, I think, or something like that. And the guy came in there and he was the broker. So he's a Remax broker. He just slashed us in half. He listed it for 2.5% or some crazy nonsense.
Wow.
And he took cell phone pictures and just threw it on the market at her price. And it's
Wow.
still on the market. And that's like a beautiful house that should not be on the market.
Wow.
Hey,
Yeah.
that's you get what you pay for. I like some of those memes where, they showed like the landlord paint job, where they just paint over the cockroach or whatever. Like he was just painting over a cockroach.
Yeah. What I want to hear about your solid presentation. What's your pitch that you say to people? Because I feel like a lot of people don't understand what investors do, especially real estate agents. So what is the thing that you say to people, or like what's your kind of spiel that you say
As a home buyer,
Yeah.
as a cash buyer?
Yep.
As a home buyer, I'm honest and just set expectations. I think that's the biggest thing. I feel like there's a lot of people out there that are just trying to pull a quick one and get that thing locked up in contract. And they're so afraid to actually just go through their whole presentation and lay it all out so that people feel comfortable. You get a lot, I hear a lot. I was just in a conference Monday and Tuesday, and a lot of people were like, when they're talking about like, they call the people back 2 or 3 times before they even ask to get the contract line like locked up. And you would be surprised. People like gasped in the room when they said that. And they're like, "Well, once we get off the phone with them, we can never get the people back on the phone." It's because they don't feel comfortable with you. When they got off the phone with you, that was it. Like, they don't, because they feel like, one of the questions we tell them is like, it's okay if you say no to us. Like, we're okay with it, where a lot of people wouldn't dare to put that in their presentation. But that's okay to tell them, like, "Hey, listen, if you don't feel comfortable or if it doesn't work for you, like, that's fine. Like we'll move on too." So that just being honest and expectations and letting people know that, like, we're not trying to hold a gun to your head for you to sign these contracts. Like, if it works for you, it works for us. Great. And it works. And then sticking to what you're going to say you're going to do. And it's also holding them accountable for what they said. If they tell us the furnace is brand new and we go in there and it's 10 years old, well, then guess what? The furnace ain't brand new.
Yep. Yeah. I feel like we always like try to do that as well. And it's funny whenever, like, I keep bringing up real estate agents, but I mean, every time you talk to a realtor, they're just like, "You're taking advantage of these people and stuff." And I was like, "Hey, let me tell you something. We've never bought a property from somebody that didn't want to sell it. And they have plenty of opportunities to decide that they don't want to do it anymore." And like, they always, could back out or not come to closing and stuff. And, they can always do something like that where it seems like they try to get out of it or can get out of it. If they really, really wanted to, they're going to find a way out of it.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. You guys are agents, like, hey, listen, there's shady stuff going on both ends. I've seen some of the shadiest happen from real estate agents.
Yeah.
It just depends on who you're dealing with. It's not a perfect world. So there's going to be those people in both fields, but at the end of the day, we're helping people probably a lot more. And it's probably a lot more convenient buying their homes because we're closing on their times. We're paying all their fees. you know, we're cleaning out the house for them. Like, hey, whatever you want to leave in the house, just leave it. You know, that's a lot more convenient than walking through and telling them, I can't confidently tell somebody to fix this in your house, do this, do that, and I'm going to get you this number. And if I'm doing that and telling you I'm going to get you this number after fixing all this stuff, probably lying to you because I don't have a crystal ball.
Right. Yeah. And then in the time that they were fixing it up or whatever, the market could change. So like, you know, they're doing all these things, putting the money into it, then something happens. So you really just don't know. I mean, that's always the hard part is like, I've talked to other agents about this is like, man, I feel more comfortable telling them a number that we're willing to buy it at. And then we take on all the risk because if something goes sideways and we lose money, now it's on us. I feel worse whenever we're representing them. And I'm like, yeah, I think we're going to get you this. And then I'm completely wrong. And then, you know, now like we don't get them that. I'm like, dang, now I feel like my integrity's lost. I'd rather give them a number that, hey, we're going to give you this number and bam, we're giving them that number no matter what. And obviously we expect to make money, but sometimes we messed up and, you know, we're wrong. And, you know, you said something that was kind of funny in the car business. I don't know if you guys said this, but they always said buyers are liars. And it always seems like, you know, like as the person who is like, you know, the company, you're held to a higher standard than what the client is. So I wanted to see if you had any stories about where the client, like, you know, either lied to you or like, you know, said some crazy stuff or tried just like making you out to be the bad guy, even though they're the ones that are basically trying to screw you over. Do you have anything that's happened to you?
Yeah. I mean, the duplex we just bought was pretty good. I mean, there was a couple of things one of the obvious things that the guy was like, I don't even know why he was doing this, but he kept, there was this seam on the front where the concrete meets the house. And where they built the house, for whatever reason, that front porch, that concrete piece was actually part of the basement too. Instead of like having the foundation come down straight, there's like a concrete, like it just a little bump out in there. For whatever reason, you know, the seam was gone. And sorry guys, you're having some crazy hail.
Wow.
Yeah. My car's outside too. That sucks. There's this seam, you know, it's just could have been like, it needs to be fixed. There's a brand new caulk line going down the seam. He's owned the house for like 30 years. He's like, what? I never did that. He's like, it's been like that for years. And I'm like, dude, like I didn't even call him on it, but I'm like, all right, so there's definitely going to be other surprises to this house, you know? And like, he's like, I just did the furnace and I just did the water tank. They're like a year old. And I'm like, okay. So you go down in the basement and I'm looking at the furnace, I'm looking at the water tank, and I'm like, this isn't brand new. Right? So I look at the year and it was from like 2012. And I'm like, hey, you know, this is not new. And he goes, I just put them in last year. I said, there's no way you just put these in last year. You know, and we start getting into this back and forth. And I'm like, just look at the year on it. And he's like, he looks at the year and he goes, oh yeah, you know, I thought I put them in last year. But I'm like, yeah, you put them in 10 years ago. You know, so yeah.
So basically you were dealing with somebody who wasn't mentally there.
Yeah. I mean, this is somebody that's literally, you know, like believes his own lies.
Yeah. Or he's not legally allowed to sign for himself. Which one is it? No, I was kidding.
Yeah. I mean, so yeah, it happens. Like it's crazy, but I mean, there's a lot worse things too. Like, did I tell you guys about the trap house?
No.
So the trap house. So I get up, I'm pulling up to this house, like not really too like crazy about the area, but I'm like, maybe it's a quick little wholesale. Pull up, there's like this old Chinese guy standing outside the door in the driveway. He's like, you know, all innocent, smiling. And I'm like, all right, this is gonna be interesting. So we go in the house and like, there's nothing in the front, like there's nothing inside like the main area. Like it's completely empty, no furniture, nothing. Like we hear like talking. And I'm like, okay. And like, look in the one bedroom and there's like a bed in there, like a pocketbook, and there's nobody there either. I'm like, so one of the guys that was with me was like, hey, is there somebody here? And he's like, yeah, and there are apartments. And this is a single family house. And we're like, in their apartments. So like, he's like, yeah, let me show you. So I'm walking, it's the Chinese guy and my guy, and then I'm behind him, I'm last. So he stepped out of the way and he's like, go upstairs. So he starts walking upstairs and I look upstairs and there's this shady looking guy at the top of the stairs on a foldable chair, sitting on the platform of the stairs.
What the heck?
And I'm like, that's not normal, you know? And like, so my guy walks past him and he goes like this, like across the room. And I'm like, oh no, like this is bad. I'm like, I'm not going up there. I'm like, I'm going to stay down here just in case things like pop off here. So in the meantime, the guy's like, oh, we got to check out the front porch. So going to the front porch is a door, like an outside door with a peephole looking into the house. I'm like, this is weird. He's banging on the door, this guy. And there's no noises. So he opens the door up and there's people living inside the porch. And that's why all the windows were smashed out, because they had the windows smashed out and boarded up because people were living in there.
Oh my gosh.
So I'm like, I want to get out of here. Like, I have no business here. Like, we're going to get killed in this house. Like, so we go, he's like forces us to go downstairs and check out the basement. We go down to the basement and there's like a deadbolt. That's it. Just a deadbolt on a door that's separating the basement. And he's pounding on this wall. And I was like, I'm out of here. Like, I don't want to know what's on the other side of that wall. Like, I'm out.
Oh my God.
So as we walk outside, my door to my pickup truck's open. And there's a shady looking cat walking up the driveway. So like within 2 minutes, someone was already in my truck, like ravaging through my truck.
Oh my gosh. Did you end up buying that house?
Hell no.
No,
Nope.
you didn't even make an offer?
I didn't even make an offer, man. That guy is going to get killed. When someone buys that property and he tells those people to get out, they're going to kill him.
Yeah, that would be crazy. You just get a property management company.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So
We got a few final questions here. One I was going to ask you is just how we could help you. What's your biggest struggle right now?
man, I want to come to you guys like Q3 and find out how I could buy homes, because I'm going to get killed, right? Like with our income where it's at already this year. If we keep going like this, which it's looking very promising, like if we don't buy something, we're going to get hammered. Like, and you guys are the kings of rentals, and I still haven't really like felt confident or know enough about it. When I dive into something, I want to know a little bit about it, especially if I'm going to be holding it and there's going to be tenants and all that stuff. So yeah, that's definitely something that's been on the top of my mind.
What do you think is your why? Like, why are you doing all of this? Like, what's the major point of like your life and, you know, what you're trying to accomplish, what you're trying to build?
Yeah, there's a couple of whys I have. You know, one of the reasons I see my wife in the hospital, she's in the hospital, man, all day long, just seeing patients, you know, after patient, after patient, after patient. Like, if that continues, like, what kind of life is she going to have, you know? I mean, yeah, she lives a great life. She's a doctor, but like, she's in the hospital all day long. You know, we have family come over. Where's your wife? She's in the hospital working, you know, and I want to be able to enjoy life too, you know, like we do. Like, we can pretty much, we're flexible. Yeah, we work like a lot, but we also do things too. And I want to have her on the side with me doing that stuff. So that's a huge why for me. And then, you know, I didn't come from money. So I don't want to live a life where everything's about, I don't have money or I can't do this. Like, I want to have enough money where I can do whatever I want, however I want, whenever I want.
Yep.
And nothing's stopping that.
Awesome. Well, we got our last couple questions here. So this is one of the ending questions we ask everybody. 60 years from now, you're on your deathbed and you have a final message to the world. It could be a paragraph. It could be something you're going to put on a billboard in Times Square. Everybody's going to see it. It could be a sentence. It could be a poem. This is your legacy, right? This is your legacy. This is something that you're going to give to the world, or something you think people need to hear. It's your message. What is your message?
My message would be, do you. Don't let other people's experiences and other people's noise get in the way of chasing down your dreams. And everything's achievable. You know, a lot of it is procrastination. A lot of it is getting in your own way. A lot of it's self-doubt. But don't let that get in your way. And don't let anybody else's experience bring down your dream. You know, get after it and do it. Take massive action today. That's what I would say.
I like it. So how can our listeners get a hold of you if they want to reach out? Also, what part of Ohio are you in? Just in case like anybody's got any wholesale deals or anything like that, or, you know, they're buyers or anything. And then how can people get a hold of you?
Yeah, so Canton, we're in Stark County, Summit County, Cuyahoga County, and Westchester, New York. And get a hold of me, Instagram, Gary Voorhees _ and phone number is 914-420-8551. And you could also go on our website, which is unitedhomebuyers.com.
Cool. Is there anything else that you feel you want to share with our viewers?
No, man, this is great. I really appreciate you guys.
Yeah, thank you, man. I'm glad that we met. I'm glad that we got to work out together. We get to see how CrossFit works. That was my first time. So yeah, we appreciate you, man. You're a beast.
Yeah, we got to get you guys again this year for sure.
Yes.
Even if it's out in your hometown, whatever.
Yes, sir. I know, dude. We only live like what, 3 hours away?
Yeah. We have to start taking a road trip out there this summer.
Yep. Let's go. Well, cool,
All right.
man. Thanks again for coming on. Peace.
Later.